GRC Summit Egypt.
Thank you.
And as I told you, you will get bored from Welcome to Egypt. We say it too many times, so I am sure you heard it in the airport, you heard it in other places.
Yeah.
I want to welcome you to GRC Summit and say we're very delighted to have you with us. And ask you a question about your impression for GRC Egypt. The summit, GRC Summit Egypt, do you think it's different, the same? What kind of impression do you have up till now about the conference till the moment?
Overall, it's been great, right? So for me personally, it's a different type of summit. It's a different type of conference. And I like it very much, this concept, this model of conference, because most of the conferences I've been to, like IT conference, cybersecurity conference, or even, similar GRC kind of conference, mostly we also talk about a conference where, a big hall full of people, full of booths, a vendor try to poach you. But here, and we are in a very gorgeous place, right?
Yes.
Makes people very relaxed. It's very comfortable for people to make connections, like real connections, not just like people try to rush things, people try to sell you something. No, people really wants to hear your opinion, hear your thoughts, exchange ideas, because the overall vibe, environment really supports that. It's not just like, big hall, like I said earlier.
So more or less, it's more of a peer-to-peer networking event rather than an expo with a vendor-client relationship.
Yeah, I think that's the better word to describe it. It's not an expo. It's really where the GRC professional, whether you're from internal audit, compliance, security,
Risk,
risk, they come together and then exchange ideas, what's happening out there, what we are experiencing inside of our office or in the country as a whole, how can we make it better? And that collaborations happen in the, again, relaxed environment. It's not like something that you rush. I see people around, they talk very relaxed during breaks, during lunch, during breakfast, during dinner. Again, it's not an expo, and that's a good thing.
That's really excellent. You gave us a very, very nice talk, and actually it was very, very well received by our audience.
Thank you.
So I'm interested to know your impressions from the interaction. We had a lot of nice questions, some tricky, some additions to what you were saying. How do you feel about it? Like, is it different than the other summits that you were in or the conferences?
Yeah, to be very honest, it's a bit different, and I'm very nervous, by the way, before my talk, because most of my experience are whether in Europe, in the US, or in Asia. Especially in Asia, I tend to be able to read the room, call it, right? Because people give expression, whether they like it, it's boring, or they want to know more. I can see in their faces. Here, blank.
Oh, that's different.
So from the stage,
you cannot read the room.
I cannot read people's expression. Is it something good? Did I say something wrong? Is it acceptable or not? So I only get this feedback like from you or from other participants after the talk. And only then I feel like, oh, apparently here when people ask questions means a good thing.
Yes.
So thank you for that. But yeah, this is also, again, my first time speaking in Egypt or maybe the general Middle East region. I learned a lot as well.
I would say like I'm happy because then I hope it's not the last time you speak for us. And also maybe, when you said about like first time here versus Europe versus US, I want to maybe switch gears a little bit and ask you about something in the profession rather than just your impression. In the US and Europe, there is a more focus when it comes to international standards versus local ones. And sometimes the local standards are actually just an imitation of an international standard. And through your discussions with everyone here, and also I know that you made a lot of interviews with some of our, I would say colleagues in a broader sense, and also professionals, and some of them were even speakers. How much do you feel local versus international here is more important versus For example, Asia or Europe?
So I think it always depends on the industry.
Yeah.
And
agree.
not just the industry, but also the type of organizations, right? So if you are a branch of a multinational companies in a regulated industry, even in Egypt, then you will ask for international standards because
Yep.
again, you are part of a group, right? But if you are let's say a local entity, a more national entity, I feel like there is still room uh, for companies to be able to make business to work together without waiting for that international certifications. But I think the whole message from my discussion and also my thought during my speak is at the end of the day, whether it's because certification or it is because regulations, we as a business, when we want to work with other parties, we need to be comfortable.
Yeah.
We need to get the feeling that I can trust them, I can work well with them. The form, quote unquote, is not really that important. Why? Because certification is one thing. But then what about other forms? Like, do we have a good relationship? Or is this just a transactional business, right? If it is a good relationship and if there is some issues, we can still solve it in a nice way. It doesn't have to be always, on a legal basis. Everything have to be according to the contract. That also give people comfort, a different type of comfort. And coming from Asia myself, um, I think we kind of share that culture in a way where as long as I can trust that I can work with you, what's on paper is a second.
So basically, word-based business is more, or let's say the word has the value
Yeah.
of the contract. It doesn't. Of course, you need a contract. Nobody's saying that don't follow the legal, but the word is more valuable. That's really nice to know, and that makes me maybe jump to one of my last questions to you, because I know that's a topic very close to your heart, and also you have a lot of expertise in third-party risk management. And third-party risk management is sometimes how small and medium enterprises kind of get penalized, quoted, because they don't have this certificate or that certificate, or they don't know how to answer the security questionnaire in a proper way. In Egypt versus, your experience from the EU and Asia, how do you see that's different? Generally, I want to know your opinion about the topic. And also, I know that you discussed with some of the colleagues their opinion on the topic. So how do you feel, for example, the answers here or the views here from GRC Summit Egypt versus what you know from Europe and Asia?
Yeah, so I think again, it always depends on the locality of the business. In many cases, I've worked with smaller companies in the United States or in Europe where they are serving global customers. They want to be everywhere. If they want to be everywhere, then international certification is the way to go. However, in many other countries, let's say companies in Egypt or even company in Indonesia in my hometown, so most of them actually focus on the local business, the national business, right? So what is important for them is how to meet that national local needs, national local regulations, for example, right? So many of them say, yes, it's nice if you have it, but if you don't, let's work something out. But if you are really trying to sell your product, trying to sell your service cross border, multiple countries, yeah, I think the best way is that you go through these international standards because then you can meet different regulations in, let's say, one go.
Okay, so I get you. So you're advocating for flexibility depending on the type of business, let's put it that way.
Correct.
Okay, I am really looking forward to actually view all the interviews that you did for GRC Summit Egypt to know the different opinions. It's always nice to have a different lens I want to thank you on behalf of GRC Summit
You're welcome.
and looking forward to hopefully maybe hosting you another time. Ferry, thank you so much.
Looking forward. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.